This is All of It on WNYC. I'm Allison Stewart. For the next hour, we're going to talk about men and tackling the subject of masculinity with both humor and serious reflection. Later, we'll hear from journalist Jordan Ritter-Kahn, who spent 4 years chronicling the lives of 4 different men struggling with various aspects of their identity. His book is titled American Men. But first, we'll get things started with comedian Jordan Carlos and a call to action to his fellow straight guys. After more than a decade together, comedian Jordan Carlos realized his marriage might be in jeopardy. Part of the problem? Jordan learned he wasn't pulling his weight around the house as a partner or as a dad. Jordan was faced to recognize the invisible labor his wife was doing and take on some of those responsibilities. And he brings his lessons learned to his autobiographical book, Chore-play, the marriage-saving magic of getting your head out of your ass. The book is equal parts heartfelt, honest, and hilarious. In it, Jordan writes, arguably speaking, there's a 75% chance that what ends a marriage may well be that pile of clothes that we leave at the foot of our bed, despite our person's repeated, please put them away. Or the door we never get around to fixing, the trash we never take out, the leaves we never rake, such little things, but on a long enough timeline, they will push marriages, read my marriage, to the brink. Chore-play contains real tips, advice, and wisdom, and of course, lots of jokes. During my conversation with Jordan Carlos, we took calls from listeners, but we will not be taking your calls today during this encore presentation. Here's my conversation with Jordan Carlos. So, first of all, tell us where the title came from.
The title just came from something my mom would say that my dad was doing. So my dad, like Ben Franklin said, get caught working, right? And so my dad would do that. Like if it was like my mom was coming home from work, he was like, okay, if I sweep up the kitchen floor a little bit, if she catches me doing it, I'm gonna get points. Or washing the dishes, and he'd be like, oh my gosh, look at me washing these windows. And my mom would be like, that it's obviously chore play. So that's where the term comes from. Always steal from the best from Mama. Thank you, Mom.
Did you keep it in the back of your head?
Oh, I can't.
Always.
In the forefront, in the back. I have to, fully, yeah.
Well, how did your wife, first of all, before we get into the meat of the book, how did your wife feel about you writing this book? She was good with it. She definitely
got to hear it when we had the big launch party this Tuesday. And I think I finally got her respect. It's now an okay thing. So once that happened, she was like, thumbs up.
Well, you're really honest in the book about the fact that you and your wife were having really difficult marital issues. You were like sort of headed towards the D word a little bit.
Yeah.
Looking back on it now, what do you think was the root of that hardship?
The root of the hardship is... I only have a few minutes here. So the root of the hardship... I'm just kidding. No, the root of the hardship was that I was looking for someone to mother me, right? Mm-hmm. And so that is the problem. I didn't ever really grow up when I should have grown up. And so as a result, I was looking for someone to clean up after me, someone to cook for me a little bit, all these things, take out the trash and remember the big things so I could just go be an artist. And I think that was problem number one. It's
sort of interesting, that whole idea of like, I'm an artiste. I'm making money. I shouldn't have to do these things. There's a little bit of that in there.
Oh, absolutely. That just felt like so odious to me. It felt like I was being punished if I had to make up the bed or like clean up my side of the room or something like that. So that just got worse and worse because kids came into the picture, pets came into the picture, and she was really carrying the mental load. And then COVID happened, right? So if I was busy on set doing gigs, out in the world doing stand-up comedy, then I had an excuse for not helping out around the house. But then when COVID happened and everything shut down, then I was just like another child, really. I was kind of redundant in a way. And I was not helping. I didn't know where anything was in the house. I was just like useless. There's so many guys like me and that's what this book is really, for is guys that are well-meaning but tripping over the very low bar that it's been set somehow, some way.
When you think back to those times and you think about something you said to your wife, can you share one of those moments?
Oh, something I said. Well, I said with my clothes, the piles. I was like, well, things all end up on the floor. Systems always fall apart. So what's the big deal?
Oh.
Ooh, isn't that good?
Oof.
Isn't that sweet? Or just like I'd be like, it's my mess, and I understand it has an internal logic that maybe you don't get, and then I'd be like, well, you have a standard of cleanliness that no one can meet. How about that? And so, those were
Them's fighting words.
the gaslight trio right there. It worked so well. I mean, listen, what's cute in your 20s is not cute in your 40s. And after a while, like a very educated, independent woman like my wife was like, I need to talk to the manager, so like there was like a kind of an inventory that needed to take place there,
You're making me think of how I should teach my son.
Yes, you should teach yourself. Yes.
I was reading the book last night and I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do the laundry twice a week. Maybe he should do it one day a week now that he's 17. That's a different way of raising a boy.
Absolutely. We have to kind of like have a break and with our mother and grow up a bit, paging Dr. Freud. And I feel like little things like that wherein he's, self-contained and able to take his clothes downstairs and self-reliant. It's really important because if he doesn't, then he's just going to, like what I did was I found somebody just to replace my mom, and thank you, therapist. So that we want to avoid that. We really want to avoid that. And Alice and Sarah are so wise. Yes. Get your son to separate those colors and whites, and just or just throw it all in, wash it cold.
It'll be fine.
Yeah.
My guest is comedian Jordan Carlos. We're talking about his book Chore-play: The Marriage-Saving Magic of Getting Your Head Out of Your Ass. It's out now. So Jordan, you wrote this book. It's really geared towards men and heterosexual relationships.
Yes.
Why did you want to target that particular audience?
We've lost so many good men, Allison. So many good men. I just think that because you speak from your experience. There were a number of men in like the mom and dad's group in our neighborhood that were splitting up, and they weren't splitting up over anything like dramatic. It was almost like a kind of what I would call a MEH situation. And as such, I think the partnership had kind of broken down. Right. I remember there was this one dad who will remain nameless who needed the babysitter there even when he was there with the kids. Oh. So it's like, what's happening here? Come on, bud. You gotta chip in. And that's what I've written it for, is like there's a lot of well-meaning guys who may be open-minded in the streets, but not in the sheets, so to speak, and need to pick up the slack. And they're well-meaning. There's these guys that I'm describing are often waiting to be told to do something. They're happy to go take out the trash. They're happy to walk the dog. They're happy to wash the dishes if being told to do so, rather than having the executive function to just do it themselves. So it's like putting yourself on that footing of more of an active or proactive footing, I think can really help. And to me, it doesn't have to be a balance. I don't think it has to be a radical rearrangement. I'm trying to reach those people too, to tell them that if they did something, that would be huge. Some one little thing.
You note that the second decade of marriage tends to be harder on people?
Yes.
Why do you think that is?
Because I think the first decade, it's like a rocket going into space. You have that wonderful thrust, but like those cool two boosters fall off. And I think that, and you have to find a new operating system, because you often slip into the sandwich period, right? Which is you're taking care of your parents at some point, or kids come into the picture. Maybe they're, you have a miscarriage, but things will happen where you'll be put to the test, for better or for worse. And because of that, I think the partnership needs to be looked at, reevaluated, and rearranged to kind of like meet those new conditions.
Let's talk to Michael, who's calling in from Westchester. Hey, Michael, thanks for taking the time to call All of It.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on. I'm a big fan of the show. So I just wanted to mention something that, frankly, it came to me the other day. One of the things that I haven't been in the past particularly good at is anticipating the needs of the household. So it's, yes, picking up the socks off the floor and, wiping the counter. But it's even more than that. It's knowing that my wife's 2 steps ahead of me. She's planning what the next meal will be. She's figuring out when my kid needs new sneakers. It's all that extra work that she puts into that that I realized I have to up my game a bit.
Thank you for calling in.
Yeah.
Thank you for recognizing that. You call that the invisible labor.
Yes, that's invisible labor. And I'm so happy to mansplain invisible labor here on all of it. But this book is geared towards guys who might not have heard of that
true.
before.
Some people haven't heard of it before.
Yeah,
It's okay,
don't get mad at us. It's invisible, okay? So, yes, that is thank you, Michael, for being vulnerable like that and saying that. But yes, there are so many things that are put on traditionally onto a woman's shoulders. I saw it with my own mother, who was a professor and also ran the household. So I feel like it's just about giving a crap about these things. You have to give a crap. You have to give a gee whiz. And the internet is so great. It's never been a better time to be a slob, Allison. Like all this information's online, what your teachers' names are. Or you can go down the hall, ding, 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 to your kid's closet, check the size of their shoes. The UK one is always bigger or small. I don't know, US versus UK sizes on the shoes. But catch up. Look around, scout around. It could take like 10 minutes to know these things and to find out the names of like their doctors. That happened to me with my kid's dentist. Like,
what happened?
Well, I called the dentist. I was like, all right, this is a new me. This is my inflection point. So I call up the dentist and I'm like, I just want to check on when my kids are supposed to get their teeth cleaned again. And then the receptionist, this is South Brooklyn, she was like, the mother already knows. And I was like, okay, well, I'm the father. And then she's like, clearly you're divorced. I was like, we're not divorced. And she's like, only divorced fathers do that. She was also a sock puppet, but she was cool. Anyway, that's what happened. And you have to realize it's not the shark sometimes. It's the water that you're in, and that you have to accommodate for that. You have to know that things are set up for a life of ease. To be a man, a straight man. Things are they accommodate you. Again, more truth bombs being dropped by this man about the misogynist construct in society. But I think it takes an awakening, and it takes a conversation between men on the topic. So
this is an interesting text. It says, "You are describing my son-in-law. As a result, my daughter's home is ultra messy and dirty. She doesn't seem to care, but it sets a very bad example for my 2 granddaughters."
Absolutely. Because my kids know full well that I'm the messy one. They would call me messy all the time. Like, Daddy's rumpled. Daddy's messy. Look at Daddy. What a slob. So they felt that they didn't need to clean up after themselves. That someone would come along, mommy like a Roomba, and like clean it all up. But you can't be out here doing that, because you're setting that, you're modeling that for your kids, and it's not good. That's what was modeled for me as well.
We are talking to Jordan Carlos about his book, Chore-play. After the break, we'll talk about weaponized incompetence. This is All of It on WNYC. I'm Allison Stewart. Jordan Carlos is a comedian, reformed husband and father, and author of Chore-play, the marriage-saving magic of getting your head out of your ass. Another quick reminder, because this is an encore presentation, we won't be taking your calls today. Here's more of my conversation with Jordan. Let's talk to Kristen from Pleasantville. Hi, Kristen. Thanks for taking the time to call All of It.
Oh, thank you so much for putting me on. So I'm in like an opposite situation. My husband, Ashley, does everything for the house. He does the laundry. He cooks dinner and does the dishes. And
keep that man.
Kids. 25 years celebrating Valentine's Day tomorrow.
Wow.
So he's a keeper, but I feel guilty a lot about it. I'm also an artist, and I think maybe my brain I can't wrap my head around doing things around the house.
Okay.
But he really keeps everything in line. Fridays he does a vacuum and cleanup, surface cleanup.
So well
every
trained.
Friday. He's got it down, and he is like my housewife.
Is there anything that Kristen can do that would surprise her husband, who does all the work?
I think there's plenty you can do,
around the
Kristen.
house?
So I always say that the devil's in the levels. So you just have to go around. It'll take you 5 minutes to get around your house. I mean, listen, maybe you have a huge house. I have no idea, an East Wing and a West Wing. But check the TP levels, right? Check your toilet paper, paper towel levels, juice levels, milk levels, olive oil, and butter. You can just change those roles, and in the the TP roles, and he will be he might faint. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He might keel over and think that the toilet paper fairy came for a visit. So do that, Kristen. I know it sounds so lame, but it's true.
Let's talk to Nabu in the Bronx. Hey, thanks for calling All of It.
How are you? Thanks for having me.
Sure.
Thank you.
So a lot of the icks that you're talking about, my wife used to talk to me about, and I didn't really appreciate it until she passed away in 21. So now, in going through the house, having to learn my kids' shoe sizes, when we're running low on milk, when the bathroom has to be cleaned as opposed to wiping down would suffice. All of these little things now, I don't have anyone who would do it in my absence.
Right.
So now it's really, really, it boils down to consideration for me. What bothers me may not bother her, but what bothered her didn't bother me. But again, it's only after she was gone that I realized, oh, okay, this is what she meant by it, and this is why. So I think if we as men, considered, how would you feel if someone ignored you saying the same thing 20 times?
Yeah.
Maybe it'll make you move a little faster.
Oh, my gosh.
Thank you so much for calling in. Let's talk to Deb from Park Ridge. Hey, Deb, thanks for calling All of It.
Hey, you bet. And I would like the previous woman caller's husband's phone number.
Drop it in the chat, Allison.
Yes, please. I'll call him up. Anyway, I was calling to just mention two things. Firstly, my husband's a hoarder, but never mind about that. That's on a whole other level. But the truth of the matter is the emotional labor. That's really something. That phrase didn't come to my attention, and I'm ancient, but that phrase came to my attention relatively recently. A lot of what the women end up doing is the emotional labor. Who's crying? Who's being bullied in school? What are they afraid of? Did they get their period? Like what? All that kind of stuff that supports and develops kids. A lot of times the men step back from that, and I'm not quite sure why that is, if they feel they're not emotionally capable, if they feel like that's just women's work, which it is not. The other thing I wanted to bring up was the way in which when the man models, oh, that's mommy's problem, it does, as you all were saying, reflect on the kids. We had a kid who just lived at my house because his parents didn't notice him, so he just never went home. He came home one night, can he sleep over? Sure. Then the next night he came back, and the next night he practically lived here. He did live here. So one day, my son, 8 years old, comes downstairs with this kid's laundry, pushes them in my direction, and says, have these ready by 11. Okay, well, now we laugh so hard. To this day, my children are pretty grown up, but to this day, when somebody doesn't know his place in the world, that is what we say.
Oh, have this done by 11?
Have this done by 11. Do you run a small B&B?
Possibly.
That's amazing.
Something else I wanted to ask you about before we go to more calls is this idea of weaponized incompetence.
Yes.
Explain this to people because it's really important.
Weaponized incompetence. I just go back to Mark Twain, wherein in Tom Sawyer gets the kids to whitewash a fence for him by saying they're better at it than he is. So with weaponized incompetence for guys, usually we use the stereotype of being useless around the house as a way of getting out of work. right? Like if you've ever seen movies like Mr. Mom, right? Like this guy just doesn't understand how to use like a popcorn maker, and it just gets out of control. Even though he is an engineer by trade, but like those kind of myths we kind of like take in wholesale, and that way it absolves us of doing any work. And I'm sorry to say the quiet part out loud, but that is what it is, and I've been guilty of it.
This is a good question.
Yes.
How can I convince my fiance to read this book without being accused of nagging?
Without being accused of nagging?
Yeah.
How can I get him to read this book? Just say, first get it on audiobook, because a lot of guys, what we like to do is like listen to audiobooks and then tell you that we read a book. We didn't do that. A book, like a story was told to us like we were 4 years old. So I would get the audiobook, available now where books are sold, and then I would just gift it to him and leave it there. And you can also say a friend of yours, their partner read it, because we get
Your friend
jealous.
heard about it on all of it on WNYC.
Yeah.
That's a way in.
Charlemagne the God did the foreword. So if he likes Char, then there you go. I mean, like sometimes men need, like, it has to be like man approved.
Yeah.
Like for me, I changed my ways a lot because I learned about what a quartermaster was in the Army, because I lived down the road from this guy who was like a colonel one summer, and he just told me all about being a quartermaster, and I was like, that's so cool.
It is cool.
You're the coolest. You're a colonel. I could do that. I could be a little colonel at my house, and like that's what this brittle man needed, but to make it okay.
It's what you needed. Let's talk to Jacob. Hey, Jacob, thanks for calling all of it.
Hi there. So both my wife and I work, but she makes pretty much twice what I make. So she's kind of the financial provider, but I do all the other things. I shop for food shopping, preparing food, laundry, cleaning, and all of that may not be the traditional view of a provider, but I take great comfort in that. And I see myself as a provider, and so does she. Like, she's the financial side, but I still provide for our home, and it gives me a lot of comfort. And we have a 1-year-old at home, so there's a lot of work to do.
You do have a lot of work.
And we need a lot of money. So,
Yes. Yeah.
Thanks for calling, Jacob. Let's go to Joanna in Brooklyn. Hi, Joanna. Thanks for taking the time to call all of it.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. I'm really enjoying this conversation. This is probably adding to what a previous caller called in about on the topic of women's emotional labor. And I think something that probably falls under that umbrella is, I think there's a tendency for women to kind of take on the brunt of forming and sustaining social relationships. And I think particularly once kids come into the picture, that can continue, when it comes to maintaining relationships, forming play dates, participating in classroom activities or, parent group chats. I'm fortunate that my partner is a very equal partner in that respect, but we did at one point have a conversation about the parent group chat. And I was like, I think you think that this is more superficial than it is. It's very important and it's a lot of time and effort. And he was receptive to that. But again, I really appreciate the conversation and introducing terminology that some people might not be familiar with, because it's very important.
Thank you so much for calling. I want to hear how you stepped up to the plate, how you shook off the old Jordan and introduced the new Jordan into your relationship.
Well, it started very simply, really. It started with making coffee in the morning for my wife, right? So I knew that I could do one little thing that would put a smile on her face, or just one thing that where I could take a task off her plate, and that was it. She has her morning coffee at 7:15, sits at the edge of the couch, reads the headlines. That's what she needs to do to start her day. And I was like, okay, if I can do that one small thing, then great. But I'm also a comedian. And in comedy, we have two strategies. Yes, and if this, then what else? So I looked around, and that's when I was like, okay, she's always telling me to get milk. She's always telling me to get, juice, whatever it is that we need. What if I just short circuit that and start looking for those things? Or the bulbs are out, start looking around. So just small things that weren't heavy lifts, because I cannot do radical change, but I can do incremental change until it's like, wow, what a tectonic shift, right? That was huge. So that's what I did. And then I started, and then someone handed me a book. My friend Phoebe Robinson handed me a book. We love Phoebe. It's called The 5 a.m. Club, and it was about waking up early. So prior to that, I'd wake up at whenever Mom told me to. And so then I was like, let me set my own standards. So then I started waking up at 5, and I had so much more time to come online and to tackle the day. And that made for a major, major shift. But I had to show myself that I could do these small things before I could even start waking up earlier,
Let's take one more call. Jennifer from Fairfield, Connecticut. Hi, Jennifer. You're our last call.
Oh, hi. Thanks for taking my call. Well, this has been a great show. I got to get my husband to give a listen. He's an artist, and I'm an artist's wife, which is a job in itself.
Thank you for your service.
I work at other Yeah, I know. They do. Their brains are wired completely different. And so we were together for 13 years, and I became pregnant, and I had done all the cooking in the household and everything up to that point. And I finally just said, when I got pregnant, it was like, you know what? I'm not hungry. I don't care about food. Food makes me sick. I'm out. I'm not doing it anymore. And so he said, oh, okay, fine. Before that, he hadn't really shown any interest in making food. But he started doing the food shopping and doing the cooking, and he turned out to be an amazing cook.
Yes.
So that really worked out beautifully, because from that time on, we share that sort of duties. But it took me a while to just ask, to let him know, I'm not doing it.
There you go, girl. I'm not doing it. I'm out. I love it.
When did your wife realize that you had made a change?
I think she realized that I'd made this significant change when my son, we were at the dinner table, and I think he'd spilled some juice, and then we needed a paper towel. Paper towels were out, and my wife was like, we're all out of paper towels. And then my son said, no, we have plenty. They're all downstairs. Daddy got the paper towels. Daddy always gets all the stuff, right? So that was it made me know that I had a role, right? If my son is saying, and he's 5 years old, that's when it clicked. It clicked for her, clicked for everybody. That's what this guy's going to do. He's going to overstuff this house with Costco products, and that's going to be his role. And it's actually worked out really great because of Instacart. This is not a plug for Instacart, but again, technology has helped the slob. And I've found a little way to function in a Rube Goldberg machine kind of way in my home,
That was comedian Jordan Carlos, author of the book Chore-play, The Marriage-Saving Magic of Getting Your Head Out of Your Ass.